करायची का सुरुवात? Is everyone audible to me? Okay then, we'll start with the content. Shall I start? Shall I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is screen visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Okay then. So basically, the topic which I'm going to discuss today is the future of cloud computing, and the topics which we will discuss today is this: the impact of cloud on OS, location-aware applications, intelligent fabrics, and all. So basically, when we speak about the cloud's impact on OS, now the very first thing is that if tomorrow cloud will take over on all the application, what is the chances of that particular cloud is going to take or overtake that specific operating system? The very first thing is that the role of virtualization. Basically, we all know that what is the role of virtualization here. When, for example, if we speak about a virtualization, it is nothing but an automation of a software which is being handled with respect to the cloud services. So when we speak about this, we will also speak about the application which deals on the virtualization. Say, for example, if we speak about the exams which is being taken by the IITs, like GATE exam, at that particular time, what happens, n number of systems are there, n number of, on that specific n number of systems, there are networking OS, network OSs are there, which are a bootable part of OSs. Now with respect to that OSs, you give the exams. After after the end of your session of your exam, your responses are recorded. So when the responses are recorded, at that time what happens is that all the data is being gathered, and after the end of the exam, what happens, that specific data is handed over to the cloud by a server. Now if we say that if there is no need of an operating system, then what will be the other particular fact which is going to be overcome or which is going to be replaced by that specific OS? Then people say that there must be a cloud. There must be a cloud. Now why we need a cloud here with respect to operating systems? Sometimes when we speak about having an automation on all n number of systems, we preferably go for a virtualization. Now, again, if we say that, what is a role of a virtualization here? Actually, virtualization is all the imaginary part. That imaginary part is nothing but a specific output of the input which is being defined. Sorry? So, so when we speak about this particular phases of virtualization, it becomes a medium. Now what happens? If we speak about a virtualization, then where that specific virtualization can be introduced. The very first thing is servers. When we speak about the servers here, what a server is going to do is it is just going to monitor the tasks defined by a virtualization to that specific systems. Now, here a server is not only a monitoring devices, but it is also a resource handler which uses a virtualization and which monitors that specific systems. Secondly, the second point is a desktops on demand. Now, usually when I speak about a desktops on demand means what? The very basic point about a desktop on demand is that more specifically, when we speak about a desktop on demand, is you are just dynamically creating a desktops here. When you are creating it dynamically, what we specifically say is all the particular automation is defined on your desktops, and that desktops are being maintained by the cloud. Now, if this all tasks are being handled by a cloud, then why there must be a need of operating system? Because we are also keen about the memories also, no? Secondly, we have a thin clients and software as a services as a solution. Now, what happens here when we speak about a thin clients and SAS? Now, thin clients means what? To more precisely, when we speak about remote areas clients, that remote area clients is what? With respect to geographic conditions, we need to check that what is the specific network criteria which is going to be handed over for the specific geographic conditions. And with respect to that geographic conditions, how my software as a service is going to provide me a solution there. So to overcome this part, I'm showing you a diagram here. Now this figure is what? A intercloud is there. A intercloud is what? In that intercloud, I'm defining the functionality of a cloud. I'm defining what n number of clouds are interconnected to that intercloud. And with respect to public clouds or with respect to private clouds, they both are sharing that information to interclouds, assuming that what is the size of a public cloud and what is the size of a private cloud. Even if I'm speaking about the size means what number of certain sub clouds are connected to your public and to your private clouds. So for example, if I'm speaking about a private cloud, and if I'm saying about there are 10 sub clouds connected to my private cloud, it means what? The private clouds, all n number of 10 private clouds are connected to the main private cloud. This happens what? N number of clouds are there. That connectivity of the n number of clouds is being maintained by the intercloud. An intercloud exchange is what? When I'm speaking about the medium of transmission of my data, I need to assume it that to which medium, to which address I need to specify or I need to deliver that data. For example, if I'm speaking about the exchanges, I may say the transportation channel for my public cloud may be different than that of a private cloud because my channelization is going to define the type of a clouds here. Because if my channelization is public, I need to say that the data which I'm transporting is going to go for a public cloud. But if I'm speaking about a private, secure, and transmission period, then I need to say that it is going to the private clouds. Secondly, when I speak about the reasons, the facts that why the cloud will take on the operating systems, basically 5 years ago there was a traditional IT systems. Traditional systems was there. So with respect to traditional IT systems, these were all the 7 criteria or domains which a person is to work on it. Right now, at that time, in traditional part, what happened? Networking services was there. The person used to look on it. Network was there. The person used to look on it. Servers were there. The person quickly has to look on it. Virtualization task was given. The person has to look on it. Middlewares are there. Operating systems are there. Runtimes are there. Data are there. And applications. But at that time, by defining it with respect to traditional IT systems, with respect to with respect to the traditional IT systems, what happens here? Every n number of domain was defined, and every domain was has to be checked by that specific person. So what happened at that time in traditional systems? The definition for every domain was not identical. The working conditions for every person was not identical, but the task assigned to them was somewhat same because we were dealing with the data which we have to transmit with respect to clouds or any internet services here. So then it was handed over by information as a service, sorry, infrastructure as a service. Now, what happened in infrastructure? Some of the infrastructures, what they did, they took the automation. They entered themselves as automation in some of the 50% of the domains. And what they did, that operating systems, virtualization, servers, storage, and networking will be handled by the infrastructures. At that time, that infrastructures was nothing but your actual cloud. That was nothing but the infras. But when we speak about the application and the data here, now this at that time the person has to manage at certain system or at a certain time. After some times when the operating systems was being overtaken by a cloud, what happened? The cloud as infrastructure or infrastructure as a services took all the things with them. Runtime, middleware, they all came into an information as a services. And what was remaining was only an application and data. Again, application here is what software as a services because he is going to arrange the data and he is going to give me an access to my data. But when I speak about the data, now data is what is nothing but the actual content which I'm going to use it by using that specific platforms here. So this, in this way or in this scenarios, the classification of OSS was being overcome by the cloud. After some time, cloud was being the cloud has overcome the operating system, and sometimes people also think that the cloud is going to automate all the parts of the data here with respect to the domain. Is there any doubt regarding these 2 points?
No,
Is,
sir.
is there any problem here?
No, sir.
Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir.
The screen which I'm sharing with you is okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, second part here is what? Now, location aware applications. Now, usually, why we need a locations here? Basically, when we speak about the cloud, at some time, a storage area network came. When we said about the storage area network, what happened at that time? People used to say that we have to analyze with respect to specific area that where the activity of a storage is more. If you're using a location services here, then at what location the activity regarding the storage is maximum. Why there? Why was there a need to check this? Just to check the mobility there. Just to check if you are consuming a data for a specific time at that specific location, how many active users are there? Then he is going to act. He is going to check on the activities which you are doing on that specific locations. So at that scenarios, at that point, what they said, there must be a location storage. Now, what the need of a location storage is what? Sometimes when you are uploading a data for a specific location, it checks the activity of that specific location because when we need to check the data with respect to directories and with respect to the arrangements of a data to a main cloud, at that time we have to define or we have to show that at what location this particular data storage activity was taken. And if there is a continuous failure for a specific location, then they may define the density of the network for that specific location may be somewhat thin or maybe somewhat spare. So that is why we came to a location, why we need a location. So with respect to that location services, we said that, okay, we'll have a cloud here. Now what happened here? What happened here was this particular location when I'm speaking about with respect to diagram is what it is just checking your frequency of the data which you're consuming or of the data which you're using it for that specific area. if I say about a user interface, it is going to be your system, which is your mobile phones or your laptops and etc. When I speak about the communication network, my communication is nothing but the internet, because it is the only the medium which is going to create the interface with respect to external data and my system's data. Location is what it is defining the positioning here, because when we speak about the survivability of a networks here, we check the survivability of a network by positioning for the geographic conditions. So this particular things comes, then you have data and content. Now from that specific area, what sort of data you are using it? Your data and content means what? Either you are the only that person who is going to use the same data, or there are same n number of persons like you who is using the same data simultaneously. It is also being checked with respect to the location services, the data accessibility, and with respect to data accessibility, it is going to check that what is the priority of data which is being used by that specific users. For a right side, there is a somewhat of a cartoonist which I have kept here. Now this cartoon is nothing but the elaboration of your left hand side diagram. What happens? A physical surrounding is there, which is your geographic conditions. The person is there. मी ते हाईड गेले. Okay ना? So here, 1 second. I'm hiding it so that my screen will be seen by you all. So there is a navigation history is there. Navigation history is there. स्क्रीन दिसते का?
आता एकटेच बोलून राहिलेत ना, मध्ये मध्ये एखादा क्वेश्चन
विचारायचा असेल तर विचारा ना मग. Okay, so shall I start? Shall I start?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we're speaking about the physical surroundings here, physical is nothing but your geographic conditions here. Navigation history, the footprints which was looking there on a brown color means what? What specification data was being accessed from that navigation? Navigation again is nothing but a positioning with respect to positioning. Location is what? With respect to localization factors, how you're using a location to access that specific data. Time is how much internet you are accessing for that specific time. And the orientation is if you're having a mobility here, then how your location services is going to change with respect to storage criteria on that specific location. Coming to the part of the intelligent fabrics. Now, basically, I'll tell you the history of this intelligent fabrics. Intelligent fabrics was came into existence by the Finjans company, which is a Japan-oriented company, which was the first company to define you what is the robotics here and how it can be implemented. So this was the first company who said that we can have a automation and we can have something intelligence to be provided to the daily users systems. So what they did a project on creating the fabrics here. Now, why there is a need of a fabric, or why they have introduced this part, intelligent fabrics? Because what happened when what is actually the intelligent fabric is you are putting a number of semiconductors, you are putting a sensors on your fabrics. Why you are putting it? Just to analyze your body regulations throughout the day. He is going to identify, or he is going to analyze, or he is going to study all the activity of your body. And if he found some abnormality in your body, he is going to notify. Now, with respect to this diagram, what I'm defining is a smart clothing is given to you. That person is being traced by a smartphone which he is using and the communications gateway. Now, what happens here? This communication gateway is again going to hand over the data to the health cloud center data centers. Now, what the health cloud data centers is going to do is he is going to check your abnormality. What the type of abnormality it is? Really, that is a frequent abnormality, or it is a first time abnormality which is introduced to your body. If it is first time, then it is going to go for directly for a medical advisor. If it is the continuous, if the abnormality ratio or the rate of abnormality is high at the time, he is going to give the information to the medical systems. Now what this particular fabrics is going to do is, it is just studying the whole body structure of all parts here. It is studying it, and with respect to this thing, he is going to identify what is your body behaving ratio, what is the regulations of your body, is your body simulated to some part, or is your body is free of stimulations here. So this is nothing but the intelligent fabrics. And why it is need, basically I heard, basically it was defined that to study a person who is having a somewhat of a deficiency, we need intelligent fabrics, just because to identify the disease pattern also. Because many of the times we say the fabrics are there who is going to check your body temperatures, but many of the people who are engaged with the medical facilities, they say that this particular thing is used more precisely to check the deficiency syndromes or the deficiency patterns of some diseases which are related to that person. So now, if I go for the future of cloud TV, usually what happens in a future of a cloud TV, we all are using a set of boxes are being defined. We are using it. A set of box has a somewhat of a software. With respect to that software, what happens is all n number of systems is being handed over there. Now, what happens actually here is all the data from a streaming is recorded. With respect to streaming, that particular streaming, we being a person stream it by a channel, and with respect to that channel, you create that active channel there by using the internet. For example, there are 100 channels, and if you're using a 50 number channel there, means what, all the intensity of an internet is ideal for all the channel only leaving that specific channel which you are accessing right now. So for example, if I speak about the flow charts or the diagram given to me, is there is a cloud. That cloud is having n number of criteria, because when I'm speaking about a criteria means what? I am storing a data, I am analyzing a data, I am specifically uh, storing that data by putting some criteria there. When I store the data, there is an internet CDN, cellular distributed networks is there. Now what happened with respect to your devices? You request it. After requesting it, the request is being sent to your cloud. After requesting it, that cloud is going to check the type of a file, the area of a file where the data is being stored, the cloud servers which are engaged while storing that specific data content. And with respect to that part, what we are doing is we are getting an access from it. So if I say there is a wall in your cloud means what? That is a particularly a firewall, or it is a particularly is a criteria. With respect to that criteria, sending it from that cloud is going to analyze it. After analyzing it, he is going to check that which specific, at what location that specific data is being stored. With respect to location services, he is going to reach your that specific cloud. After that, reaching to that specific cloud server, that cloud server is going to check the content whether it is having present or not. When when that specific data is present there, what he is going to do is he is going to give an access to a cloud. And when that cloud is going to call you at a runtime, then that cloud is going to create a buffer and it is going to give you to you via cellular distributed networks. And then in that way, you are visibly having an access to your cloud televisions here. For example, if I tell you, the best example is of YouTube. There are n number of videos are there, but whenever we open a YouTube as an application, we never see that n number of applications are running over there. We never see it. Why we are not saying it? Because it is just stored. We are not accessing it. But the moment when we have to access a somewhat of a data, we click on that specific videos. When we click on that specific videos, what it does, it starts buffering there. Buffering, at the time of buffering, what he does, he checks the address of that video. It checks the address of a video. Then it checks the location where that specific data is being stored or that video is stored. After getting the data or after getting an address, it gives you the resources. And then your video starts playing. So this is the live example of YouTube, which we are using it currently. Now, when we speak about the cloud-based smart devices here, actually, why there was a need when when we speak about please I'll request you please you mute your audio voices because it is creating a disturbance to me also here. So when we speak about the cloud-based smart devices, now when these smart devices was introduced in 2001, when the Internet of Things was introduced to the computer domains, at that time, what happened? Everyone was astonished that these particular sensors, how they are going to work. Because you have given intelligence, but who is there to monitor your intelligence here? Who is there to monitor your intelligence? Secondly, when we speak about the
Hello,
intelligence,
sir.
huh?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
तुमच्या इथे ऑप्शन आहे म्यूट ऑल, ते क्लिक करा म्हणजे बाकीच्यांचे आवाज येणार नाहीत, डिस्टर्बन्स येणार नाहीत. तुमच्या इथे पार्टिसिपंट लिस्ट मध्ये म्यूट ऑलचा ऑप्शन आहे.
Okay.
जस्ट क्लिक इट.
Okay, done. So with respect to cloud-based smart devices, what happened in 2001? The Internet of Things was introduced. When the Internet of Things was introduced, at that time, many people were astonished because there is a small chip which is being provided by intelligence. But everyone said, okay, we are providing an intelligence means what? You are storing or you are providing an instruction set to that specific sensors. But what about the data? What about the data? Because they said, if the data is there, how you are going to store a data? If the size of a data is expanding more than the sensors, more than the size of a sensor, how you are going to retaliate that execution of IoTs? Then they said that the IoT will be manipulated or will be taken, will be monitored by the cloud systems. And at that time, they said, okay, then if it is an IoT, then IoT needs to have a cloud as a database here, because it is with respect to request of your sensors, he is going to provide your data. He is going to provide your data. So what happened at that time? That the sensors were defined, the instruction set was defined, but everyone said, if you want to overcome the limit of the restrictions provided to that sensor with respect to data, there must be a cloud. And when we defined a cloud in a smart devices, then they said, okay, the size of a sensor may be small, but we can access n number of data by using a cloud systems here. So this was a smart devices which was being used. Now, if I elaborate you in terms of this diagram, is what there are sensors and controllers are being defined to your third layer. Every sensor and controller means what? You are giving an intelligence, you are providing an intelligence to your mechanical parts. That mechanical parts is going to record the data with respect to sensors. Now, which data they are going to record it? The activity which that specific mechanical systems are doing. With respect to the activities, what they are going to do is they are going to monitor it, that how the specific mechanical system is going to work or how it is working it. For example, if I say I'm having a vehicle which is having a sensor, he is going to, with respect to the activity of my engine, he is going to define me where I need to service it. I'm not keen about my vehicle, but my sensors are more keen because I am providing the intelligence to them. And with respect to that intelligence, they are monitoring my mechanical parts or my mechanical vehicle. So with respect to these sensors, what happens is this sensor is going to create the data. After creating a data, it is going to hand it over to your servers or to the systems which are monitoring on your mechanical parts. Now again, when I'm speaking about the handling over or handing over of the data, means what? Is I'm sharing a data, I'm sending a data there, and by that activity, I am storing or I am putting all the activity records on my cloud. And what my cloud is going to do is, he is going to just record that activity and he's going to keep it safe with him, just to check that if in case again some activity happens, then he needs to show that what was the last time the activity was done by that specific mechanical part and what is now the duration within that. So again, if I'm speaking about the cloud, then again we have to categorize it. It may be a big data processing, it may be a business logic, or it may be a data warehousing. Data warehousing here is what? It is just going to store the data with respect to times. Big data is what? It is going to study a data. It is going to identify what replications are present in my data. He'll try to remove a replication and he'll going to put only a specific pattern of the working there. So this is what the cloud-based smart devices works. Now coming to this part, home-based. Now usually people used to say that the very first time when the IoT was introduced, it was introduced on the home automation only. What people did, they said, okay, if you are having a cloud, well and good. If you are providing an intelligence, it is also good. But who is a mediator? Who is going to be a mediator to transport the activity also, to store the activity also? Then they said there must be an internet, because internet was the only thing which has become the mediator. And with respect to mediator, they were handling the data, they were transporting the data here. So what they did, the very first application of IoT was introduced in the home automation only. What they specifically said that with respect to RFID, which is your radio frequency identifiers, you are putting an intelligence. That intelligence is used for monitoring it. If you see any unevenness in your monitors, what we do is we report it to your clouds. And after reporting it to the clouds is going to take the activities. The cloud is going to check it. What is the actual activities? So here, if I'm speaking about a home-based cloud computing, for example, if I say I'm having a television with me, my television now here, what actually the cloud is going to work? I'm using a television here. He is going to record that. Averagely, averagely how much time I'm giving to my television? How much average time I'm engaging with my televisions? How much of average time I'm using my air conditions, or how much of my average time I may use refrigerators, frequency of using my appliances of my home is recorded. With respect to this averageness of my data, what they are going to do is they are going to calculate my activity here by using an IoT. So they said that okay, they are recording my activity, but I need to store somewhat of activity where somewhere else. Then I am putting out, or I am specifically saying that there must be a cloud again here. So again, if anyone says that home-based cloud computing is what, it is based on IoT, because the data generation is going to get calculated from my home's appliances, which are intelligent appliances, which are having an AIs within it. So in this way, I am going to use my home-based cloud computing here. Secondly, mobile cloud. Now, usually what happens? Basically, I'll tell you what a mobile cloud is nothing but a part of a mobile computing also, because this is the domain which was being defined by a mobile cloud, and then we studied mobile computings. Usually, what happens in mobile cloud? You are a user which has a mobility. With respect to mobility, the data must be provided to you. With respect to your request of a data, I need to have an infrastructure which is going to satisfy me to deliver a data. Now, what happens here in a mobile cloud? Mobile is a device which has no specific location. You are going to move, you have to move from one place to another. But with respect to this part, you have to use the internet. Now, how you are going to access the data from a cloud? There is this diagram is going will tell you how we implement it. From your left side, you are having users. To the some part of right, you are having mobile devices. PDA is nothing but the personal device digital personal digital assistance, your PDA stands for. The tablet is there, the smartphone is there, and the GPS is there. Which all these three things are not stable. They are having a mobility in their environments. I am having a trans receiver base stations here, which is a tower here, which is going to send the data, or which is going to transmit it. Web services is there and a cloud. Now what happens here? Basically, I have already told you how your soft handoffing and hard handoffing works in a cloud systems. So this is also the part of a soft computing, sir. Soft handoffs. This is also the part of a soft handoffs. Now what happens when you try to access the data with your wireless devices? You request by a wireless internet. Your wireless internet transmits it to your wireless tower. With respect to tower, it is going to hand it over to the cloud. Now what happens here? A storage is there where the data is present. When your request comes to my cloud infrastructure. Now basically, when it comes to the cloud infrastructure is the within part of my cloud. When a request is sent, it needs to go to the cloud storage only. But again, how it has to go to the cloud storage is this three part: cloud infra, cloud service, and cloud platforms. So with respect to cloud infrastructures, they are going to analyze it, whether the data is present on a remote location, or at the private location, or at a rural location. It is he has to access it, or he has to check it. After analyzing the part of infrastructure here, he is going to give you a services. Now when I'm speaking about a cloud services here, he is going to check whether you are accessing a data from a private cloud or a public cloud, or by the hybrid cloud. Because my services of a cloud is dependent on the type of a cloud services which I'm using right now. So if I'm using a private cloud, it is going to access the data from a private storage, or it will send a request to storage specifying that I need a private data which was being stored at the private cloud, or which was being defined that this particular data is stored on a private specific cloud. Or it is going to send it to the cloud platforms. Cloud platform is what? It is going to analyze it. Which particular software, or at which particular system that particular data was being channelized through the internet for your cloud storage. And from the cloud storage, it is going to check that this specific data is being stored at what specific server. I'm again repeating it. This specific data is stored at what specific servers. Because again, if I speak about the cloud, when n number of servers are combined together, I say it is a cloud, sir. It is a cloud storage. I don't know where I'm storing the data, but my cloud storage knows it, because my cloud storage works as a directory here. It keeps all the records, that at what location, at what time, at what area, at what location services, at what remote criteria, at what geographic systems you have stored the data on your clouds, or at the specific servers. So this is how your cloud works, how your mobile cloud has to work. And with respect to this part, one of the server is going to say, okay, I have the data which the person was searching is with me. Then he'll hand it over to the cloud storage. Then he'll give it to cloud platform. Then he'll give it to cloud services, assuming it is a public, private, or hybrid. From this part, he is going to check it, which cloud infra the particular data was stored. Then from that part, it is going to hand it over to my base trans receiver station, and then to my mobile, or to my mobile devices, or to n number of mobilities here, and the user is going to get an access here. So this is my mobile cloud. Now the disadvantage of a mobile cloud is what? The survivability. Because what happens in a cloud, the very big disadvantage of a cloud computing is the basic important the disadvantage is cloud survivability. Because with respect to geographic conditions, there are sometimes the network transmission may go failure, or may have a failure due to some natural calamities, or due to some technical problems also. So it is a major disadvantage here also. So coming to the part of a media cloud. Now usually when we speak about the media clouds here, media cloud here is what? Video is there, audio is there, a transition effects are there, provided there. Now media cloud is what? I am processing a video here, or I am processing somewhat of a videos with respect to audios, videos, and its effect. Say for example, if I want to create a video, I'll check whether my audibility is correct or not, whether the presentations defined to my video is perfect or not. And if it is perfect, then it is okay. But if I need to say that I need to have a modifications with my presentation, I have to give some sort of effects to make it more pleasant. So with respect to this part, what I am doing is I'm having a video with me. I am attaching some part of audios with respect to its dictations, and transition effects is nothing but to make my presentation or to make my video more genuine. I'll do it. Say for example, I'll tell you an example. If we watch a Hollywood movies in Hindi, if we watch a Hollywood movies in Hindi, what we do, video is of a Hollywood. Audio is manipulated by changing a language. And effect is what? We are showing it. The lipping of that person matches my Hindi tone. That is the main basics. No, that is my media cloud. And I'm wrapping it, I'm combining it, and then I'm creating a visual effects here. And then I'm creating that this Hollywood movie is a Hindi movie or is a Hindi dubbed movie. And it is being handed over to my mobile devices or to my media devices. So here, when I am using it as a media cloud, my media cloud is just going to give me that if I'm doing a manipulations, to what extent I'm doing the manipulations. If I'm having a manipulations within it, then how I have to say that what sorts of manipulations I have proposed or I have implemented on it. And after doing in manipulations, I have to say that okay, this is the part which is the media cloud did, and this is the virtual image or this is the virtual video which I have created from it. And that's it. That is nothing but my Hollywood movie only. I'm taking it as a English movie. I'm dubbing it, means what I'm changing the audio with respect to the concerned language. I'm putting an audio with respect to lipping of that person, which how he talks and how he communicates. I'm giving a visual effect to it. And now I'm saying that this Hollywood is nothing but the Hindi movie. That is the main example of media clouds. That is the main example. And here the transition effects is what? The transition effects are nothing but it is how, what time you limits you're using it, how time you're defining it, what time you're defining it for that this. For example, if I'm saying that I need a time here with respect to time clock, how my media is going to retaliate its working there. How is going to show that no, this video is not an edited part, just because the transition effects you are giving it. And with respect to transition effects, we check it that how the manipulations are not being done. And to your information, I'll tell you, when we have to check that specific video is genuine or not, most of the time people go for transitions, because video and audio effects are being checked by the transition functionalities and the time of response between video and audio of the file. And in that way, in that specific way, a media cloud is created. A media cloud is created. So this is how we have to overcome this parts. This is how a multimedia we do it. This is the wide example that how a media is being loaded here, is being manipulated here. And with respect to this part, we say this is a media, because if you ask me a multimedia definition or media cloud, I'm going to say the same thing. Some of the media services I'm using it to manipulate some of the data within it for the user's convenience, for the understandability of a user, and with respect to their concern, I'm manipulating the data and I'm storing it somewhere else, so that even if someone wants to have it, they can have it. For example, I can again say you, if some of you are using a Telegram as your application, you get a movies from a Telegram also, but the Telegram never stores the videos there. The Telegram just provides a link. With respect to that link, you download the data. Telegram never says that I have this movie with you and you can have access of it directly. We never do it. We download it. Why? Because that specific video is put up with the links. And from that part, again, now you will say that Telegram is only going to give you a video. But for your information, it is somewhat storing the devices also. No, it is also storing your media also. The links is nothing but a media, no? If you're accessing movies or any video files. So secondly, now energy. Why we need energy on clouds? Sometimes, for example, if I consider today's lockdown, the activity on the today's data activity is much more than that of the previous before lockdown. When everyone is using the data here, means what? The energy has to be increased, because to overcome the fault of the data, to overcome the fault of the internet, we have to overcome. Because see, whenever we speak about the disadvantage as a part of survivability in your internet or your cloud, I'll tell you the second disadvantage is energy. The higher the strength of your internet is, the higher is the energy consumptions to be taken. So if the higher energy is being defined, then only the specific internet is going to give you a stronger connection. So here, why we need an energy on cloud? If your energy consumptions are more, or if we provide more energy to the cloud, at that time we say the activity which is going to take place with respect to cloud will take less time. But if the energy is weak, then it is going to take a time for buffer also. And again, we say again, if you are minimizing the energy, then it is going to result in the weakness of your wireless communication channels also. That is why there must be a need of energy also. Coming to this part, a jungle computing. Now usually you'll also know, if I'm speaking about a jungle computing, it is nothing but a high performance computing, which distributes the working tasks among its different domains. Now, what happens in jungle computing? First of all, I don't know the type of hardware as an infrastructure present in my network. Secondly, when I'm processing the data, I'm considering that every specific domain present in my computing has an accessibility to do a work. Thirdly, when I'm speaking about the domains here, I have to specifically say that every domain is going to work with respect to their defined criteria. Now, what happens here? Jungle means what? A variety is there. Variety of networks are there. Variety of infrastructures are there. With respect to variety of infrastructures, what we do, we try to use that varieties. We try to use that varieties. Now, here my variety is what? The infrastructure. Huh? Yeah, I'm having n number of varieties of infrastructure present with me. Maybe a desktop grids are there, clusters are there, clouds are there, independent computers are also there. But I may say that if I connect this every individual component with every other individual component, I'm going to say that my cloud is going to work. Here, there is no need to define that what specificness must be there. Here, I'm not going to define it how a specific a hardware needs to be there. Because even also when we speak about the creating of a cloud, we can create a cloud by a physical layer also, by physical layers of your network layers also. So here, even if I assume it in a jungle computing, that if all these systems are being interrelated with respect to their computational workforces, then also I'm going to say that my cloud computing is going to work. My computing is going to work, because jungle is a variety, no? And with respect to varieties, I am manipulating the functionalities according to the variety of my infrastructures. Because why I'm saying it manipulating? Because the intensity of a cloud may be different than that of a cluster. The grids may be different than that of a desktop grids. And to be honest, the application of jungle computing is nothing but the satellite communications. Because satellite is communications, or the satellite cloud computations are the only area where it deals with the jungle computing. Because when we speak about a satellite, is what? It is giving an access to n number of infrastructures. There are no definitions of infrastructures which only needs to be satisfied by your satellites. Satellite says that all infrastructure which deals with my computing or which deals with my communication channel is a part of a satellite communication. So this was the today's lecture. Now I'll expect that you may ask questions to me. You has to ask. So you can ask if you have not understood any part of it.
अब्बा उसे ज्यादा सीधा करते भाई हटते ऐसा
If you have if you have any doubt, you can ask me.
नहीं अब्बा ऐसे कर दे तो समझता है
Sir, when we talked about cloud TV, hello,
Yes,
हाँ नहीं वो नहीं रहा
hello,
yes. Go.
sir. When we talk about cloud TV, you said that set-top box is also connected with the cloud through internet or like any other thing.
Actually, there are two types. If you're using a wireless set-top box, it deals with the internet. And if you're using it, the set-top box is wired, then it needs a STB. That is nothing but a signal transmission board. There are two types.
Sir, and when we talked about IoT and clouding,
Yes.
I have heard of cyberwine.
Okay.
So how does that deals with the IoT and what you explained now? Cyberwine, like storing their data into their own regions.
Actually, no. Even if you're saying about this now, this concept is related to the only remote area networks. Because if you're speaking about the locations, no, the cloud is only going to get the data with respect to remote locations. And from a remote, they are going to study it. No. So cyber is, they're just going to check any
But
unwanted
locations.
See what happens. Basically, even if you are right now is using a Gmail right now, okay?
Yeah.
What you are doing is you are using today's area, location area, for accessing the data, and you get a symbol also of your location. Now, when you're using it, I'm checking it no by location services. What is your activity? I'm not precisely saying that what are you doing on an email, Gmail, but I have to know na, by a channelization that what actually you're doing it. That comes under your remote. And cyber is what? Cyber is just going to check the content. He's not going to check the actual functionality. Any questions?
Hello, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, how advertisements are related with location-aware applications?
Advertise related to what?
As the advertisements are the location-aware application service now. So how they are related?
Basically, what happens? See, all thing comes to the part of your internet only. When you are using an internet, there are two types. The storage area is also there, and location area is also there. So when you're advertising it, you're using a location because you're uploading it.
Yes.
With respect to uploading, it is being handed over to storage area network. What the storage is going to look is, what is the actual location from where the data is come.
Okay. But sir, as per the location, advertisements are changes.
Yes.
So how they manipulate?
See what happens, a big data concept is there. In big data is being analyzed by a location services. If I found your advertisement broadcasting was done from a specific location, then only I'm going to tell you now that at that specific time only or at that specific location, the activity of that address was more, of that advertisement was more.
Okay, sir.
Any questions? समजलं का? याच्यात अजून काय असेल तर विचारा. Any problem? You can chat. You can message me also. Any problem to anyone? Okay, then shall I end the session? Shall I conclude? Okay, intelligent print. No, basically what happens? Intelligent print is actually a concept which only deals about the graphics in. What happens sometimes when we try to have a when we go for a buying of a vehicle, we do analysis on a websites. What at that time we do? You select a model. After selecting a model, you check on it that which specific color is going to suit your choice of a model. That intelligent print is what you are imaginarily or you are virtually giving the effect to that object, and from that object you are seeking it that how the appearance of that specific object can be analyzed or how it can be concluded by your choice. Is anyone having any questions right now? So shall I conclude today's topic? So we are almost the half part of 60 minutes. Okay then. Thank you and bye bye.
एक मिनिट. फाळके सर.
बोला मॅडम.
हा. हॅलो.
मॅडम
2 मिनिटं. मीटिंग करू नका. हॅलो.
येस मॅम.
लेक्चर चालू असताना सर रेकॉर्डिंग सुरू करून देत जा.
हो शुअर.
आज केलेलं आहे का आजचं लेक्चर रेकॉर्ड आता?
हा रेकॉर्डिंग चालू आहे.
चालू आहे ना? ओके ठीक आहे.
ओके देन. बाय बाय.